7Z is a compressed archive file format that supports several different data compression, encryption and pre-processing algorithms. The 7Z format initially appeared as implemented by the 7-zip archiver. The 7-zip program is publicly available under the terms of the GNU Lesser General Public License. The LZMA-SDK 4.62 was placed in the public domain in December 2008. The latest stable version of 7-zip and LZMA-SDK is version 9.20. The official 7Z file format specification is distributed with 7-zip source code. The specification can be found in plaintext format in the doc subdirectory of the source code distribution. Features and enhancements. The 7Z format provides the following main features: open, modular architecture which allows any compression, conversion, or encryption method to be stacked. High compression ratios, Rigdale AES-256 encryption. Large file support. Unicode file names, support for solid compression, where multiple files of like type are compressed within a single stream, in order to exploit the combined redundancy inherent in similar files. Compression and encryption of archive headers. Support for multi-part archives, for example XXX7Z001, XXX7Z002. The format's open architecture allows additional future compression methods to be added to the standard. Compression methods equals. The following compression methods are currently defined: LZMA, a variation of the LZ77 algorithm, using a sliding dictionary up to 4 GB in length for duplicate string elimination. The LZ stage is followed by entropy coding using a Markov chain-based range coder and binary trees. LZMA2, a modified version of LZMA providing better multi-threading support and less expansion of incompressible data. BZIP2, the standard borrows a Wheeler transform algorithm. BZIP2 uses 2 reversible transformations. BWT, then moved to front with Huffman coding for symbol reduction. PPMD, a Dmitry Shkyarin's 2002 PPMDH with small changes. PPMII is an improved version of the 1984 PPM compression algorithm. Deflate, a standard algorithm based on 32 KB LZ77 and Huffman coding. Deflate is found in several file formats including zip, gzip, PNG and PDF. 7-zip contains a from-scratch deflate encoder that frequently beats the de facto standard SLib version in compression size, but at the expense of CPU usage. A suite of recompression tools called Advanced Comp contains a copy of the deflate encoder from the 7-zip implementation. These utilities can often be used to further compress the size of existing gzip, zip, PNG, or MNG files. Pre-processing filters equals. The LZMA SDK comes with the BCJ/BCJ2 preprocessor included, so that later stages are able to achieve greater compression. For x86, ARM, PowerPC, IA64 Itanium, and ARM thumb processors, jump targets are normalized before compression by changing relative position into absolute values. For x86, this means that near jumps, calls and conditional jumps are converted from the machine language jump 1655 bytes backwards style notation to normalized jump to address 5554 style notation. All jumps to 5554, perhaps a common subroutine, are thus encoded identically, making them more compressible. BCJ, a converter for 32-bit x86 executables. Normalized target addresses of near jumps and calls from relative distances to absolute destinations. BCJ2, a preprocessor for 32-bit x86 executables. BCJ2 is an improvement on BCJ, adding additional x86 jump call instruction processing. Near jump, near call, conditional near jump targets are split out and compressed separately in another stream. Delta encoding, a delta filter, basic preprocessor for multimedia data. Similar executable preprocessing technology is included in other software. The RAR compressor features displacement compression for 32-bit x86 executables and IA64 executables, and the UPX runtime executable file compressor includes support for working with 16-bit values within DOS binary files. Encryption the 7Z format supports encryption with the AES algorithm with a 256-bit key. The key is generated from a user-supplied passphrase using an algorithm based on the SHA-256 hash function. The SHA-256 is executed 218 times, which causes a significant delay on slow PCs before compression or extraction starts. This technique is called key stretching and is used to make a brute force search for the passphrase more difficult. Current GPU-based and custom hardware attacks limit the effectiveness of this particular method of key stretching, so it is still important to choose a strong password. The 7Z format provides the option to encrypt the file names of a 7Z archive. Limitations The 7Z format does not store file system permissions, and hence can be inappropriate for backup archival purposes. A workaround on Unix-like systems for this is to convert data to a tar bitstream before compressing with 7Z. But it is worth noting that GNU tar can also compress with the LZMA algorithm natively, without the use of 7Z, and that in this case the suggested file extension for the archive is tar LZMA, and not tar 7Z. On the other hand, it is important to note that tar does not save the file system encoding, which means that tar compressed file names can become unreadable if decompressed on a different computer. It is also possible to use LZMA2 by running it through the XZ tool. Recent versions of GNU tar support the JSwitch, which runs TAR through XZ. The file extension is tar-xz, or TXZ. This method of compression has been adopted with many distributions for packaging, such as Arch, Debian, Fedora and Slackware. The 7Z format does not allow extraction of some broken files. That is, if one has the first segment of a series of 7Z files, 7Z cannot give the start of the files within the archive. It must wait until all segments are downloaded. The 7Z format also lacks recovery records, which might be a problem when limited file corruption has occurred. By way of comparison, zip files also lack a recovery feature. In contrast, the proprietary RAR format permits recoveries as well as the extraction of broken files and file spanning. See also, comparison of archive formats, list of archive formats, free file format, open format. References. Further reading, Salomon, David. Data Compression, The Complete Reference. Springer. Pages 241. ISBN 1-84628-602-6. External links, 7Z format. A general description about the 7Z archive format. 7-Zip official website, 7-Zip on SourceForge, 7-Zip command line manual, 7-Zip extractor.